Good evening, ladies. How are we all this evening? I am just going to check, make sure I'm live. Here I am. So, if you can hear me, give me a hashtag live. If you are with me live, give me a hashtag replay if you're catching up on this a bit later. Just wait for a minute or two, just in case someone... Hang on, people join us so I can see that people are with me live. That's great. Do me a favour, give me a little nod. Let me know you are here. So, I thought I would come in and join you live tonight at 5. Emma is obviously, she's let us know that she is having some birthday celebrations. So she asked me to jump in and do this live at 5. Firstly, I ought to give you a bit of an introduction onto who I am. So my name's Helen Maxwell. I am a coach within the Academy group within EMW, so that's our client group. And I am a nutrition coach, but also focus on mindset and mental health. I've worked in mental health for many years now, on a variety of different age ranges, subjects, etc., etc. So being a coach in EMW is an amazing experience, but also I am an ex-client of EMW as well. So when Emma asked me to do this tonight's masterclass, I thought, what shall I do this about? And then I thought, well, I could do something based on nutrition and keep it very coachy. But then I thought, you know what? Having been an ex-client as well as a coach here, I thought it would be maybe very useful to give insight in what it's like once you come out the other side and what happens when you follow through with your goals on a more long-term basis. So we're talking being with, let's have a think. So I first joined EMW via a 5-day challenge, which is something that EMW used to do. And that was 2 years ago, pretty much 2 years ago now, yeah. So what I did was give you a bit of background on me, because I think when you hear the success story, you also need to hear where that's come from. So I had been pretty poorly for quite some time after the birth of my little boy, who's now 8. I went into labour at 8 months pregnant when I fell down the stairs, and subsequent to his birth ended up in hospital numerous times with repeated pneumonia. After that, I don't think my immune system had ever properly recovered, and I had a really worrying seizure where the right side of my face dropped, and we thought at first I'd had a stroke. It turned out to be something with a really long and fancy name that I won't bore you with, but these seizures happened quite regularly for a period of about a year, and in that time I couldn't work, couldn't really do a lot, didn't really do a lot, and kind of lost my identity a little bit in that time. So having been ill and going through a period where, like probably a lot of people here, reached the stage where everything just got a bit low really, and I clapped on the weight and lacked in self-confidence and just generally had lost myself somewhat. I'm sure there's people who can relate to this, so if you have feelings that relate to this yourself, drop me a 1 in the comments below. If you're watching this on replay a bit later, also do the same. It gives you a good idea of just how many people out there have struggled or are struggling. So after being poorly, for a lot of people, the choice to then make a change comes based on a trigger. It's not always. For some people, they just decide they want to change, but for some people, it takes an actual event that makes them seriously want to change. And I think this is the difference between affecting temporary change, where you'll go on a diet, you'll lose however many pounds, and then you'll put it back on again because basically didn't really want it enough, if that makes sense. Whereas if something happens that then says to you, I can't do this anymore, this has to change, this is often triggered by something that happens. Now for me, that something, get your tissues ready, girls, was me taking my little boys to go and see Santa. This was still, again, some time ago now, but outside Santa's grotto, they had the opportunity to do some colouring and everything while they were waiting, and to write Santa a letter. So that's exactly what they did. I didn't look at the letters. I already knew what they wanted for Christmas, but they went into Santa, did all the usual gubbins. What do you want for Christmas? Have you been a good boy this year? And all of that. And they handed their letters to Santa. Santa opened Charlie's letter. Charlie is the youngest. He's 8 now. And sort of looked at me with a kind of, I don't know, emotional look on his face. And I thought, oh my goodness, what has that kid asked for? So when it was all over, he folded up this piece of paper and he passed it to me on the way out and said, you need to give this a read. So I was like, oh no, what does it say? So we got home that night and put the boys to bed, and I got this piece of paper out, and basically what it said was, I don't want any presents this year. I want my mummy to get better. Ping. Light bulb moment. Oh my goodness gracious me, I have to do something about this. So just check and make sure we've got no comments so far. Oh, thank you, Clara. Shoulders training this morning. So there was a lot of tears. There was a lot of, oh my goodness. If my young son, who at the time he was of right an age, but probably not much into that, so maybe late five, yeah. If he could see how badly affected I was, then for me, there has to then be an impact on him. And this is where my line was drawn, because previous to this, I was still doing the mum stuff, still smiling at the school gate, talking to the teachers, doing the sports days, doing all those other things, thinking that, it's not really that obvious to the kids. But this solidified it for me that the things that we think in our heads and the things that are going on for us, the people around us really do know about it, especially the children. Children are particularly in tune when it comes to feelings. So I decided at that point, because it was affecting my children, that something needed to change. I was doing yoga. I had a prolapsed disc and a dislocated shoulder, so couldn't do a lot in the way of physical activity at the time. So that was a bit of a struggle. I'd done yoga and meditation, done courses on meditation. I'd at this stage I was also helping other people with meditation as well. And then followed, when I could, with physical rehab. I'd done various different dietary things, various different diets, various different ways of eating. I even tried, I became vegan for a year, all to try and get back to a sense of true health, proper good health. So I'd been working on myself for quite some time before EMW even came into the picture, but knew that something was still missing. Couldn't quite put my finger on what that something was. I'd put a lot of effort into the mental health side of things, the physical health side of things, but things just weren't all clicking together. So 2 years ago, just about around this time, I popped up in my Facebook and saw EMW's 5-day challenge, and I thought, what harm can I do? Give it a go. And at the end of that 5 days, I had a chat with Emma, and I then chose to go on and join the academy, which I did. This is 2 years ago, and in that time, now as we stand, from those years ago where I could barely get myself out of bed in the morning, crippled with chronic pain, I'd been diagnosed with ME, forgot to mention that, basically just existing, really unhappy, way overweight for what I should have been. I'd gone from that to I now help other people with this, and I pull trucks in my spare time, which is crazy, I know, and not everybody is going to want to do the same as me, but I've gone from being a basic crumbling derelict building to a fully functioning gym. And 2 years on, the habits that I learned and stacked up, and everything that I learned is 100% still in place and working. So I would encourage anyone who watches this, either now live or later, to focus on their habits and to reach out for help, whether that be in this free group, whether that be anywhere, because I think the one thing that at the end of all the trying different things, that I actually had to have a good sit down and a good talk to myself and say, you can't do this on your own. And I think that's something that women are very good at, trying to cope and to do it all on their own. It's so outdated. It's so outdated to have to think that you need to struggle through and do it all on your own. It's who expects that of you? Only yourself, really, when it comes down to it. Help is out there, whatever kind of help it is you need, whether that be nutrition, mental health, anything. The help is all out there. You just have to be vulnerable enough to put yourself forward and say, actually, I can't do it on my own. I do need a bit of help. So that's exactly what I did, and I have never looked back a day since. So the title of this, what it's like after losing 2 stone. Actually, I've lost 3 and a bit, closer to 3.5 stone. And I have come down from I was a size 14, very rarely, sometimes a 12, 14 on top, and going into an 18 on my bottom half. I am now a solid 10 all over, and very rarely sometimes a 12. You know how weird clothes can be. And this is consistent. This has been consistent now for, and continues to get better and stronger. And the key to it is the word that I've just said, and that's consistency. Because I think we can all do something for a set period of time, but if we don't commit to that on a permanent basis, then things will drop away and you will drop back to bad habits, or habits that aren't as conducive to good health as the ones you've learned. So does that relate? You ever say, if you're watching on replay, just tag me and say relate. So how many times, have you tried to lose weight and keep it off, to get healthier both in mind and body, and then slip back into old ways? Change for the better physically and mentally has to be permanent. You have to commit to making permanent change, and the easiest way to do that is the way that Emma and Coach Clara teach it here in EMW, in that you take the small steps. You drink the water, you do the steps, you do the things one at a time, stack them all on top of each other. I'd encourage anyone, if you want to ask any questions, then absolutely 100% bring it on. I'm checking the comments. Doesn't seem to have been anything for a bit. But yeah, if you do have, even if you're not watching live, you're watching on the replay, tag me in the comments and ask any questions that you would like to ask about my journey and how it became a permanent change for me, and how I didn't slip back into old ways, and where that can take you. Because I can honestly say, ladies, I never for once thought 4 years ago, when I was in a pretty bad place, that I would be in 3 weeks' time entering a strongman competition. It would never have even entered my head. But what working with EMW when I did for me was to give me the confidence to go out and go, do you know what? Why can't I do it? Who's telling me I can't do it? It's only me. It's only me that's going to tell me I can't do it. Which is why I then became extremely passionate, because I have seen these things work, and I have done it and been through it and been in the bad place and come out the other side myself. This made me exceptionally passionate about anything to do with women's health, whether that be physical and mental. And having already been qualified and working in mental health for some time, this is where my involvement then came in professionally with EMW, and I do a lot of mindset and coaching around mindset within the other group. So it is just as much physical and mental. You need the whole thing together, and you need to be consistent. You need to decide once and for all that you need to make a change, and once you decide to make that change, make the change. If you need to ask for help to do it, do it. You won't look back. There is people in this group, and girls, if you've are on the other side of the journey yourself, or if you've girls who have been in this group for a long time and seen the different processes, add some comments in. Let people know how you feel about it, what the experiences have been like for you, and any little nuggets of advice that you feel that might help people who were in this position earlier on. I can see a few names that have popped up that, you know, have gone through the process themselves. I think when Emma asked me to do this masterclass, I thought it was important that people see what it can be like when you come through the other side. And I would consider myself now to be a bit of a tour de force, really. You know, you're not going to, don't mess with me because I'm not going to be messed with. Whereas 4 years ago, you could have blown me over with a feather. So, has anyone got any questions for me at the moment? It's nice to see some girls on. I can see some familiar faces. But if anybody is watching this that doesn't know me, feel free, honestly, to reach out and ask me any questions that you want. Any questions that you want to ask about how I made this a success for me and how you could as well. I am so used to, I have to level with you, I'm so used to doing most of my coaching via Zoom and having involvement that it is so strange just talking into the camera and not having anyone there talking back. It is a really odd thing when you're used to doing things in groups. A lot of the work that I do within EMW is we are with it in a group together, working together and talking. So this really is a strange one for me, but what I would say is if you watch this and it makes you think and you want to ask any questions, just make sure you tag me in the comments just so I know that I get a notification. And yeah, I'm happy to help in any way I can to answer any questions that you've got based on how it can be a success 2 years later. Well, if there's no questions here now, girls, let's have a look. Refresh me. I've got another screen open just so I can make sure that I've got all the comments on. Can't see any comments, so I will leave it here, ladies. But if you do think of anything later on, or if you watch this later on and want to bring something to the table, by all means do. And it's been lovely to be here in this group. Not a usual one for me, haven't always worked in the academy group, so yeah, it's really lovely to be here. I am honoured to be talking to you today and hopefully speak to you again soon. Have a beautiful evening wherever you are. Take care. Bye.